Welcome to my channel.
Is it becoming harder to forgive than ever before? Oxford Dictionaries defines the word forgive as stop feeling angry or resentful towards someone for an offense, flaw, or mistake. In its very definition, it is understood that forgiveness has more to do with ourselves than others. In fact, the process begins and ends with us, not the ones we need to forgive. In the spirit of Yuletide and the season of giving, let's explore this question and see where it gets us. Is forgiveness unachievable? Is it idealistic as a quality? Probably. Is it hard or aspirational to us mere mortals to be forgiving? Yes. But does that mean forgiveness is unachievable? Author Amish Tripathi believes, of late, it has become impossible to forgive, forget and move on. These terms are mere concepts nowadays, he says. To let go has always been hard, but nowhere in the history of time, some phases apart, has forgiveness, compassion, empathy, seemed so utopian and idealistic as qualities, as it does today. Krista Tippett, American journalist, author and entrepreneur, may have an answer as to why this has happened. In her TED Talk Reconnecting with Compassion, she says, our cultural imagination about compassion has been deadened by idealistic images. Now, compassion, when it enters the news, too often comes in the form of feel-good feature pieces or sidebars about heroic people you could never be. Tippett takes a leaf out of the American culture, explaining further how during the 1960s, when the country encountered true diversity for the first time, tolerance became the core civic virtue. Think about the word tolerance now. Does it feel like a natural human quality? News junkie and entrepreneur Naveen Mehta says, no, it's an aspirational ideal preached, idealized by writers, poets, humanitarians, and ironically, politicians. He adds that without compassion and tolerance as core values of any society or human beings, forgiveness is that much harder to achieve. We are argument addicts. Actor Nandita Das says she has noticed people becoming touchy about petty things that one probably could laugh off a decade ago. Not anymore. We are on a continuous emotional trip and need a lot of persuasion to let go, if at all. A lot of us like to hold on to feelings, of hurt or otherwise. I just don't see the wish to move on. In fact, I'd say a part of us needs these episodes to survive. We thrive on an impulse to lash out, at the slightest provocation. Given that there are far more public exchanges we have because of social media, the urge to react is that much greater today. Everyday minor interactions have become a kind of arm wrestling or a duel, believes cultural commentator and ad guru Santosh Desai. He says, you are forever passing judgment on the world. It's a domino effect really. This aggrandized sense of self does not allow you to let go. In fact, you revel in it, and with time, it becomes a mild form of addiction. There is an adrenaline flow when you are engaged in an altercation, and you feel something is at stake, and you don't want to withdraw from it because you'll feel slighted. Director Anurag Basu conveys the same sentiment, saying, we've all become control freaks. When we get angry, we don't want to settle the dispute. When hurt, we don't want to forgive, we want someone to pay a big price. Of human frailty. To be able to forgive requires acknowledgement of our fundamental human vulnerability. In an atmosphere where people are egging you on for a fight, or you are doing it to yourself, it's difficult to be able to even forget acknowledgement of human frailty, adds Desai. That's not a concept this generation is comfortable with. Shaka Sungoor, an American convicted murderer, college lecturer, author, and now Director's Fellow of the MIT Media Lab, spent 20 years in prison for shooting a man dead at his doorstep when he was 19. In his 40s now, describing his road to redemption which started in prison, he says, first, I had to acknowledge that I had hurt others. I also had to acknowledge that I had been hurt. The second thing was apologizing. I had to apologize to the people I had hurt. In Season 2 of the hit series The Crown, Queen Elizabeth II finds herself in a moral dilemma, and asks a religious figure, no spoilers, about what she can do if she cannot forgive. The person in question insists on forgiveness as a godly Christian quality, but when he realizes the Queen's personal battle with herself for her inability to forgive, he says she must pray for forgiveness for herself for not being able to forgive. A scientific approach. If you find that too difficult a task without any guidance, you can seek Dr. Fred Luskins, Ph.D., who runs the Stanford Forgiveness Project, the largest interpersonal forgiveness training research projects ever conducted, advice. He is one of the world's leading researchers and teachers on the subject of forgiveness, and from his scientific study on this topic, he has developed and tested a 9-step process to make it easier for people to understand how to forgive. Here's how it goes. 9 Steps to Forgiveness. By Dr. Fred Luskin. 1. You have to know exactly how you feel about what happened and be able to articulate what is not okay. Talk to a trusted person about your experience. 2. Make a commitment to yourself to feel better. Forgiveness is for you and no one else. 3. Forgiveness does not necessarily mean reconciling with the person who upset you or condoning the action. You seek the peace and understanding that comes from blaming people less and taking those offenses less personally. 4. Get the right perspective on what is happening. Recognize that your primary distress is coming from hurt feelings and thoughts that you are suffering now, not from what hurt you 10 years ago. 5. The moment you feel upset, practice stress management to soothe your body's fight or flight response. 6. Give up expecting things from your life or from other people that they do not choose to give you. 7. Put your energy into looking for another way to get your positive goals met than through the experience that has hurt you. 8. Remember that a life well lived is your best revenge. 9. Amend the way you look at your past so you remind yourself of your heroic choice to forgive.